All right, it's herd update time. I'm gonna try to start doing these a couple more times a year because I think people like some of the stuff that they get to learn from it and get to know the goats and kind of what's going on. One of the biggest herd updates is that Trisha, my lady, is holding the camera a lot, and she's living here now, so that's a pretty big herd update. She's added to the herd. So, all right, so honey, let's do the herd update.
Okay.
So Slick, so you know, this year led my string all summer. He's not 4 yet. He led it at 3.5, and because of how he is in terms of conformation, which I suspected he would be rad, and he is. He also has a super killer attitude, but this type of body formation, okay guys, really, right here? All right, it's part of the herd update. Because of his awesome conformation, as I suspected, I mean, he's one of my smallest goats. He's in that 170-ish range. I think he's done growing. I don't think he's gonna get any more, but he handles 50 all day long and can't live anywhere but at the front of the string contentedly. So he's showing to be my new string leader. He's got all kinds of heart, and that's the type we're looking for. I mean, that's what we're looking for, and I have his genetics throughout. He's small because I don't think he got his groceries in the beginning. First year, he was just allowed to free graze, but he's just a stud. So I'm gonna have tons of his lineage and genetics available for you this year. Update on Merciless. If you remember, Merciless at 5 years old pulled a feeder over on top of himself, and I think what I'm determining is happening. Come here, Mercy, leave her alone. You can see he's kind of ribby right now, and I think what's happening is I've done everything that I can do to help him keep on weight, but he's just he grinds his teeth a lot because I think he has back pain from that injury. And so the final stage is that he has what's called a weird float to his teeth, and it's going to take a real professional horse person to come in and address what he has, which is called a wave. And I think that happens because he grinds his teeth a lot, which then is making him not process his food as well, so he just doesn't have the energy. Not unlike I noticed with some of my goats, is that they'll as soon as they need their teeth floated, they lose their energy on the trail. Hey, will you flatten that camera out for me, babe? And they start losing their ability to have energy on the trail. It's one of the things I noticed that warns me that they're starting to have issues with their teeth. Now here comes a new subject, which is we have 2 new goats to the table. Well, 3. So this is Smudge. Smudge is now my biggest goat. He's tall, he's leggy, he's 7 years old, he's super loving. I know where he came out of, so I can get more of him. He's pure alpine. This is another goat that came similarly out. This goat weighs in the 220 to 230 range. I haven't put him on the scale, but I know he's there, if not more. I think he's probably more like 240. This is Tex, and I called him Tex because he's got that big longhorn thing going on, and Tex is just, I don't know how any of these guys are going to do on the trail yet, but they're big, they're well conformed, they're healthy. I can tell that he's got something going on with his foot right now. I'm going to have to take a look at that later, but if you see somebody kind of packing their hoof like he is, his hoof doesn't look bad. I just trimmed him. I think he got whacked in the shoulder or something. You see how he's pushing away from me, and yeah, I think he got whacked. So anyway, the stuff that happens, but I can tell he's packing a hoof. But this is Smudge, and that's Tex, and then this over here is Chief. And if you remember my goat Dewey, this goat reminds me of him both energetically. Get up, come on, get up, up. Good boy, good boy. And this goat's over 200 as well. Super good looking goat. Got really strong front end. He has what I'm looking for. He has drive. Of all 3 of these new goats, I think he's gonna probably be the best. But we'll see. You just never know till you get him on the trail. But I was lucky enough to find somebody who had to get out of goats and added 3 to the string. So I'll have 10 strong packers on the trail this year. Mac is a saber alpine that I've been waiting to grow up. I'm a little skeptical how he's gonna perform. he's built decently. He's just got a little more width than I like, but we're gonna see how he is on the trail. This year he's gonna go in 3 so we can start loading him. I've had him on the trail a bit, but you're gonna see him in the string this year at 3. He's gonna carry some weight. Noah this year did awesome. I mean, you can see how thin he is post-season. He's just kind of picking up his weight again. He's kind of my pasture bully now. He got his butt kicked for years. Now he's kicking butt. You know, he's really pushy. I have to watch him around people. But for the most part, I still really love Noah. I wouldn't trade him for the world, but he's consistently at the back. He's one of those goats that has a lot of extra muscle mass, and he kind of pays the price for it, but he's got heart for miles, and I wouldn't trade him for anything. He's a great goat, but again, I'm breeding for a little leaner, meaner goat than what he is in the long run, because I think these heavier, muscly goats are really just play the price as kind of an endurance athlete. This is Blade. Blade's one of my breeding bucks this year. He's kind of gooey because he's still bucky. Also too, one of the things I'm learning about is I took the final step with these bucks, and I did the California bander this year, which I California banded him 2 days ago. You can see that he's still hanging big, and he's got the little rubber band. It was a way simpler way to go. I'm gonna see how it goes in the long run. I have 3 breeding bucks that I did that way this year. So far, they seem to be just fine. They seem to have the same time frame, kind of a day of feeling kind of junky, and wow, that doesn't feel so good, but now they're back to normal and drinking pee, you know, just like the good goat will. Yummy pee. Yeah, aren't they great? You gotta love those bucks. Disgusting things they are. And then if we go over to Thorn, remember, Merciless, Ridge, Thorn, this is their 7-year-old year. Next year's gonna be their 8-year-old year. So we're gonna probably start seeing these guys kind of slow down. Thorn and Ridge were my 2 strongest goats this season. They did a really good job. Thorn consistently is in that low 220s. Ridge is twin brother. I talk a lot about him. He's in the high 180s, 187. He's never made 190. He's his twin, carries almost the same skeletal structure. He carries weight more efficiently and longer than his brother. So again, this is what I'm breeding for. Lots of legs, a thin goat, nice and tall, good conformation, short body. He doesn't quite have everything that I'm looking for, but if you gave me the choice of Ridge or Thorn, I love Thorn more because of his temperament. He's a nicer goat, but I would pick Ridge as the athlete, and this is what we're really looking for, is that thin, super efficient body mass. If we go over here, Flair's never going to be anything amazing. He's got a good little work ethic. Again, the only reason I got Flair is because the guy who owned him made me take him with Slick, and I really wanted to see what Slick was. But you can see he's just much thinner bone than I like to breed for. He's probably only going to finish out at 160. He gets it done, but he's just kind of a goat. And honestly, if you have just a goat, he's still worth having in your string. Don't kick him down the road just because you think you need a 220. This guy's going to work hard, and he's got lots of heart, and I'd rather have him than a big giant fat guy that just won't get it done and will lay down on the trail. He never lays down on the trail. He's just nothing special. He's just kind of a little worker within the string, and I certainly wouldn't get rid of him. You know, again, there's the story of Merciless. We'll see how long he lasts. I think his teeth are going to be something that are going to harm him long term. He's still loving and amazing and gentle, and I had to take it easy on him this year. And again, I think he's struggling with back issues. I just don't think he ever fully recovered from that, darn it. He's just such a neat goat, but you know, there he is. Remember Buster? Buster this year had his 4-year-old year. I didn't quite know what he was going to do. Come on, buddy. Interesting story on him. I got to learn on Buster. Let's get a close-up on his eye, honey. Come here, Buster. Get out of the food for a minute. Come here. Good boy. So you can see he's got a cloudy eye. I don't know if you're picking it up very well on the camera. So this year, okay, let's let him go. Remember, he's dam raised. This is the baby I pulled out of my first birth on my own farm. So he's 5 this year, and he was a big guess. I didn't know anything, and he turned out okay. He's okay. He's just an okay goat. Kind of that Nubian and the meat influence in him. He's kind of lazier. He's not a super worker, but he's in the 190s, and again, he's worth having in the string. But the point I was going to make with his eye this year is that he got poked in the trailer, and that poke ended up really being super bad. And I've never dealt with an eye injury like that before yet. And what ended up happening is with that poke, he actually had a dent, and that dent started to get worse. And so luckily we got a vet involved just in time, and she was able to let me know how quickly bacteria can get through those wounds in the eye. We almost lost him. So what we did is we treated him with some eye goop. We put some penicillin stuff in there, and then we sewed his third eyelid over the top of the eyeball and then let it heal and stay moisturized. And luckily we saved his eye, and now all he has is this, you know, little cloudy spot, and the test to see if he can, he won't let me. But anyway, the test to see if his eye is functioning is, you know, you go like this, and does he flinch away from it? And he does. So he can see out of that eye, and he sees decently, and his depth perception works. So we saved him. He ended up being really good from that. Look at the width on this new goat, by the way. I'm a little worried about it. I don't quite want him that wide. I think he's going to pack some inefficient weight. I think this guy's going to be a little slow on the trail as a result. But, you know, I mean, if you will talk about sitting a saddle on something, holy mackerel, it's got a wide back. And then Timber. Timber's out of a lot of the Alpine genetics that I'm breeding to now. I really like them. They're super gentle. They're big. They're nice. This guy in particular, it isn't as big and as leggy and as conformed as a lot of the goats that I think we're going to get out of that. And I would rank him as being high good. He's not crazy good, but he's gentle. He's a big Alpine. He gets the job done. He's agile. He doesn't blow me away, but he's solid. He's solid. And we're breeding to a lot of this same genetics, but the better end of it. I think this is the lower end of that genetics, and those Alpines, I'm just really handy. And then I'm going to show you Dingle here in a second. He's out of that same line. Chester, by the way, he's seen his last pack string. Here's Chester. He led my string forever and ever. If you know my full story, this goat originally came out of Cannon. Honey, make sure you get a shot of his pasture. So this is an example of a goat that's packed his whole life. He's 10 years old, and he has a broken pastern. So you can see how close those dew claws are to off the ground. And as a result, he's just done. You can see, especially his left one is broken, and he's just almost on his dew claws. If I put weight on him, he'd be on his dew claws. So Chester's still healthy. And he's always been like this. He's always standoffish, but he's still healthy. His coat's good. You know, he's good and healthy wise. He's just broke down. I think he got packed really early, really heavy. I think it's one of the reasons he broke down a little sooner, but I don't honestly know. I didn't own him since he was a baby. I got him when he was 4, and he had been carrying lots of weight for over 2 years. Cannon kind of put weight on his goats right out of the gate. So I think maybe some of this is because of that. So we've already talked, look at these guys. So we've already talked about, this is Blade. Blade was his Slick's relative, and you can see how leggy and great this goat looks. He's exactly what I'm trying to breed for. He's got it all. He's a little bit longer than I like, but again, he's going to be tall and leggy. He's nice flat back. He kind of doesn't look like it because he's rubbed the top of his hair off in the whole Bucky thing, but he has a really, really super flat back. This is General, last year's breeding buck. He's an Oberalpine cross out of Cinder. He's got way bigger flair than I like. He's actually a really smart goat. He's been great. This is a goat, by the way, that had to learn his manners young. As a youth, I had to flip him probably 6 or 7 times. He hasn't shown any aggression since then. So, go on, buddy. So he has learned his lesson, and he's just a nice, gentle goat now. And we were able to establish several times. We had to establish, you know, our ranking around him. He's one that I didn't know whether we were going to be able to save or not. Genetically, he's great. I think he's going to be nice and big. He's going on his 2nd year now. He's in the 150 mark, but he's a good breeding buck from last year. And then see if I can pick out Sargent. Here's Sargent. Sargent bred a ton of does last year. He was last year's breeding buck along with General. This is Bella's son. He is got a teeny little bit of Nubian in him. He's got some Boer and some Saanen, and then 50% Alpine. So he's kind of a saber, but he's got some Nubian mixed in him as well. I still really like him. He's a perfect combination of just enough width, just enough height, just enough legs, and you can see him. He's in the 160s now and 170s, going on 2. So he's only a year and a half old, and Sargent's really a super neat goat. He's got a great personality. He's a little leery with all these big guys around feeding time because he gets beat on a lot because he's little. But Sargent, I'm really still super excited about him. We'll see. We're going to get him on the trail a bit this year and see how he does as a 2-year-old. Last but not least is the new crop of bucklings. This is Dingle. A lot of you guys know Dingle. Dingle is probably one of my most exciting bucklings. I bred him really heavy. You can see he has what I'm looking for. Short body, he's narrow, his leg to body ratio is perfect. He's really super big. Right now he's already in the 140-ish mark as a, I think he's 8 months. Plus he just went through rut, so he's skinny from breeding does. And then we got little Macho over here, who is always everybody's favorite. He's my, can you see Macho, honey? Macho was one of our breeding bucks this year as well. He's also banded right now. He's that La Mancha Ober cross, which I think is going to be so interesting. He's not going to be the biggest goat, but again, I can breed him with my really big does that I'm trying to thin out, and he's going to be great, and he's got nice legs. And then I chose not to breed Solo this year because he just didn't quite have everything I wanted. Come on, Solo. But he's going to be a really cool little dude. This is an example. This is an example of a guy who he didn't have everything I wanted in terms of breeding. Again, he is girlfriend's son, and he's got that saber influence and then the Alpine influence. So he's 3/4 Alpine and 1/4 saber. So we only have that 25% to 10% meat in him. He just didn't quite get the legs I was looking for. But I think he's going to really turn out nicely. And that's kind of Mac. Mac never, that's this goat right here. Mac never quite got the legs that I wanted. So again, I've kind of diverted away from that genetics, and I'm going for a bit more leg. So, but I do like Solo as a packer. I think he's going to be really good. He's nice and square. He just doesn't quite have the leg to body ratio I look for. And then the last one is Cannon. I expected a lot out of this goat. I thought he was going to be really good. Let's see if I can get him to come out. Come out, Cannon. Come on, buddy. He's super loving. I think he's going to make a nice packer. But, honey, go ahead and show him from the side. So you can see with Cannon, see how deep his body is and how much body he has. That I just, again, I'm not looking for that confirmation. So even though I'm keeping him as a buckling and I like his genetics, he just wasn't good enough to pass along his genes and use him to breed this year. So I went ahead and cut him, and we didn't breed him. Really, really super good goat. Still really excited about him as an individual, but not excited enough to pass along his genes. The last thing I want to mention, you guys, is I tell you, our lives are made so much easier. One, get by these pass-throughs. So these pass-throughs, let's see if he'll come through. So anything up to about 150 pounds can fit through that pass-through. And if you can believe it, this is this year's baby, right? This little guy, he's 90 pounds, somewhere in that range. He and all these little guys can fit through this pass-through. This is how we keep our life sane with keeping babies out of feeders, is by making these pass-throughs. Now, I want to show them what we had to do. So I heavily recommend you use these pass-throughs to give the littler guys a safe place to eat and a safe place to bed. So if we go into here, Babe, why don't you step in here and I'll guard everybody from going in. This is where we feed grain. And so this is the most premium spot. But general, if you can believe it, this goat right here could get in to this pass through. And it took us a long time, and Trisha actually gets the credit for it. What Trisha said is, why don't we make a tunnel? Because what he was doing is he had that horn flare and he'd get his horns through. So we made it more like a tunnel. And because when we did that, he couldn't get his horns through and he would tip them each side, but his big body could still squeeze through this little hole. So he was coming in and getting the grain, but when we put the tunnel on, it kept him out. So if you have a goat that's getting through your pass through and he's got a little bit of a horn flare, you can discourage him by creating that tunnel. So yeah,
more green for you.
That's right. General, we figured you out. So that's kind of what's going on. We got kind of the sloppy winter time going on. We got a skidster now and a dump trailer. That's a big deal. And that's been going really good. We picked up a cheap old skidster for pretty cheap in terms of how skidsters go. It's like a 1970 John Deere with all the hydraulics and all that fun stuff, and then a dump trailer really cheap too, because again, I'm not a rich guy, but I got tired of my back having to shovel all this manure out, so we got that figured out. So let's go on to the girls real quick, and then we'll call it good with the herd update. And as far as the girls go, they're all pregnant. So all our girls are pregnant. This is Glitter. She's out of that Alpine Genetics that Timber's out of and Dingle's out of. So is Switch, and Switch is freaking huge. I mean, these does, by the way, are humongous. You know, this is a 2-year-old doe. She was bred her first year, so she's just going on her 2nd year. She's pregnant now. This is the 3rd-year doe. And I mean, I just wish you guys could see the enormity of these does that we got now. So, I mean, and these guys are all Alpine. So this one's an Alpine, that one's an Alpine, and this is Harry. Harry is Harry because of obvious reasons. We call her Harriet or Harry. So this is Harry, and she's super nice, and she's a great milker. She was just a yearling this last year, and she's just, again, humongous. And then there's Giant Bella. Bella the Charge. By the way, you'll notice with Bella, so we tipped her. Bella, so I don't know why she's running, but anyway.
Get her. Go, Wrangler.
So this is why we tipped Bella. She is just a bull in a china shop. So we took the edges off her horn. She had a big flare, and she just it wasn't that she was horning us, she was just hard to handle with them. She's just like a bull in a china shop. She has no spatial awareness, which I found common with these breeds, that honestly, they're just not as smart when you mix that whole Boer stuff in. They're just not as smart of a goat, and they kind of have this bumbly thing going on. So we tipped her horns, and God, did it save us a lot. And then here's girlfriend. This is Mac's sister, and this is Solo's mom. So she did really good this year, and she only had 1 baby last year. Hopefully she'll have more than one, but we're excited about her too. So that's kind of the girls.
She's kind of standing funny.
Yeah, you are standing funny. She looks fat because she is.
Well, she's preggy.
Yeah, she's preggo.
And a little roomy.
Yeah, so she's got that big rooming thing going on. And then there's Cinder, kind of the herd queen.
Cinder.
She did super good on the trail this year. She was our backcountry milker. It was pretty interesting to see. It took her a while to get into shape too this year. They were just like all the rest. I really had to cut her some slack, even packing no weight. She had a hard time keeping up with us for the first little while. But Cinder's awesome, and she always throws good babies, and she's just great. So anyway, so that's the herd update. I hope you find that helpful and interesting. Please remember, one of the things we're really trying to be helpful with is helping people to know everything they need to know. And so we have courses now that you can buy on how to raise a baby. It'll take you everything you need to know on how to raise a baby goat for the first year. Also, we have the Everything You Need to Know About Running Pack Goats course. It'll teach you everything you need to know about how to run pack goats all in one. It lives live on the site. You just log in. It's always yours. It's always there. As we update it, it has new information, but there's videos and written content. It's definitely the most extensive single place to go learn everything you need to know, from loading panniers to everything, including with the babies and all that stuff. And then we have the course on how to milk goats. So I highly recommend you get the courses that teach you how to run goats, how to own goats, how to raise goats, how to pack goats. That's our goal, is to educate you so you have the information for yourself. And don't forget, if you like these videos, make sure you subscribe so you can see the next one when it comes out. And leave us a comment, and then also share this if you would with your friends. My staff keeps reminding me to say these things. I've been forgetting for a long time, and hopefully you help us keep the lights on by buying a thing here and there. So hope you find that helpful. Marc Warnke, PackGoats.com.